I think I want to say this to you, Reverend Jesse. I think that because you serve as such a powerful, powerful tool to our 464-year-old open enemy, I want to congratulate you on being nominated for what we call the Coon Award.
I got that. I have
The
one
Coon
right
Award.
here. Look.
Everybody that's watching us, please put your digital hands together
You see
and
it?
congratulate our Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson for working on behalf of white supremacy and against his own people
What's a
by
coon?
asking.
I have with me a guest joining us today, Vicki Dillard. And Vicki is a contributor at Fly Newbern Queen, FlyNewbernQueen.com, and the founder of On Purpose with Vicki. Well, she say foundress, but I think that was an accident in the typing. Founder of On Purpose with Vicki. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And I am indeed the foundress. That is the female term.
Oh, so you made that word up?
No, not at all.
It's not a real word, right?
Used.
I'm sorry?
I said, no, not at all. It's just not commonly used.
Oh, I got you. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Happy White History Month.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting. Happy White History Month to you, too. And in celebration, I want to suggest to your audience that they should read the book White Rage by Carol Anderson that talks about the pathology and the problems with white people and why they are acting out in such a time as this.
Amazing. And so do you believe that white people are acting out?
Oh, my gosh, to be sure. I don't believe it. The facts tell us that.
And where's the proof that white people are acting out?
Well, I think that every day, whenever we get a chance to pick up our phones and look through the media, when you hear such names as Brandon Weber and Charlene Lyles and Deborah and Rakia Boyd and Maya, and when we hear such names as Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and Botham Jean and E.J. Bradford and Michael
Who are those
Brown,
people?
Yes, all of these are individuals that were murdered by racist white people or shot by racist white people. That's more than enough proof that white folk are acting out.
Had those thugs that you just named off been decent people and followed the instruction of the officer like normal people do, would they be alive today?
Well, what we know is, for example, Tamir Rice, there was no instruction given. And we have, of course, the video footage that shows that in a matter of a couple of seconds, the beast...
No, that's not what I ask you. I ask if those people had been decent black people and followed the instruction of the officer once confronted by the police officer, had they followed the instruction as decent people would do, would they be alive today?
Well, your question is nonsensical because no direction was given to Tamir Rice, for example. He was just shot on contact.
We're not talking about Tamir Rice. They thought that he took the orange on his little BB gun or whatever type of gun he had. It wasn't a real gun. The little orange thing should have been taken off or should have been on. What other ways that they would have known it wasn't a real gun? But unfortunately, he has changed the dynamic of that gun. That's why he's there today. And he was out there. People thought he had a real gun. They called the cops on him, and that's why he's there today. So I want to go back to my question. Had those black people acted as decent people should act when stopped by the cops, would they be alive today?
Well, first of all, your question makes no sense in most of those cases. Many of the cases, as you well know, our beloved black brothers and sisters' hands were up. So they were actually following the directions of the police officers when they were murdered.
That's not true.
But to Tamir
You're making
Rice,
that up. That's not true. Why is it difficult for blacks to tell the truth?
Well, Brother Jesse, Reverend Jesse, I think you call yourself Reverend Jesse.
No, you can just call me Jesse.
Okay, Reverend, because I'm not sure where you were ordained.
You can just call me Jesse.
Okay, Jesse, what's interesting is about what you just said. Do you know that in the Tamir Rice case, for example, do you know that when folk were calling in, do you know that the recording shows that the person that called in said that they believed that the gun might be a toy gun?
They didn't know whether it's a real gun or not. I want to go back to it one more time for my question. Had those black people that are dead now that you named off had acted like decent, moral people when stopped by the cops, would they be alive today?
many of the people I listed were not stopped by the cop. For example, one of the black women
When
that I
they were
mentioned,
confronted by the officer, would they be alive today had they followed the golden rule?
one of the things that was involved in one of the sisters that was murdered by a racist white savage was she was stopping at the house to ask him for directions, and he shot her. She stopped to ask her
No, she was a nutcase too.
her fellow white neighbor. She stopped a fellow white American citizen for directions, and that beast came to the door and shot this black woman for asking for direction. Happy White History Month.
Are you a Christian?
You know, I'm going to say I'm that and so much more. I am a student in the Nation of Islam where we teach from both Bible and Holy Quran.
So you belong to Louis Farrakhan, folks?
Oh, you can say that.
How can you follow an evil, dirty man like Louis Farrakhan, who believe that Jews are the blood-sucking Jews, and that white people are the white devils, and that they were created by some black men who turned because Louis Farrakhan has this false notion that black people were the first on the earth, and that somehow or another some black men turned evil. They went into a lab and created the blue-eyed devil. That's how we ended up in the blue-eyed devil. Louis Farrakhan also believed that he went up in a spaceship and spoke with dead Elijah Muhammad. You only get that kind of trip when you're on acid. How can you follow a man like that?
Well, you are Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. And again, I'm not sure where you were ordained or what seminary or cemetery you matriculated from, but you believe in Moses.
You're not answering my question. How do you follow an evil man like Louis Farrakhan?
Well, I'm going to make a point here. And first of all, he's not an evil man. And I'm bringing
What's
up
good about him?
I was bringing up some of the prophecies.
What's good about Louis Farrakhan? You're deviating.
What's good about Louis Farrakhan is that Minister Farrakhan for over 64 years has been standing on behalf of the most disrespected, oppressed, and murdered people on the planet. That's the black man and the black woman.
But only by other black people.
Indeed not. Indeed not.
Only by other black people have treated other black people worse than any white person can ever consider treating anyone.
I appreciate you letting me finish my point here. Are you aware, sir, that when Jesse Jackson ran for president of the United States, that it was white people that called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan the Black Hitler? And it was only after they called him the Black Hitler that he began to address the fact that he was not at all like their murderer Hitler. Are you aware of that? Do you know that he was first called that?
I'm not aware of that, but I can tell you that when I first moved to Los Angeles, I believed into the lie. Not when I was growing up in Alabama on the plantation under the Jim Crow laws, but when I moved to L.A., I started listening to Jesse Jackson and NAACP, these black preachers who are not called by God, but by their mama. And wicked Louis Farrakhan, I used to go to the forum to hear him speak when he was in town. And in that father state, I thought he was telling the truth too, because I had been separated from God by believing in the lies of these people, right? But I realized later that Louis Farrakhan is an evil man. He is a dirty man. And I understand why you people follow him, because you guys are in a father state too. God is not your God. Satan is your daddy. So naturally, you would believe in Louis Farrakhan. Why is it that you're not a Christian?
In response to what you just said, on behalf of White History Month, I'm going to believe that you said that you believe in right and wrong. So I want you to call on those white folks that protested Minister Farrakhan, that called for his death. Do you know they were protesting, said, who do we want? The other side said Farrakhan. They said, how do we want him dead? I want you to call on white folks right now to denounce the fact that they called for the murder of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
I'm not aware that happened, but if it did happen,
producers, they can look it up.
If it did happen, was it wrong?
Absolutely. So please call on them.
So that was wrong.
Call on them.
So that was wrong.
Right now, on behalf of White History Month.
Okay, we got that part.
Those white folks.
So was that wrong for them to do that?
Absolutely.
And so likewise, was it wrong when that radical agitated group that's worse than the KKK, Black Lives Matter, a bunch of black lesbians and radical homosexuals and radical liberal white people, white guys or whatever they were, when they call for, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now? Pigs in the blanket, frown like bacon. And right after that, the fallen Messiah and Big Mama Michelle invited them to the White House. Was that wrong?
I'm not aware of that. I can't
I
speak to
didn't
that.
think so. So you weren't aware of Black Lives Matter chanting, "What do we want? Dead cops."
Correct. And if
And
they
so
did,
was
and
that
if they-
wrong?
let me say this. Let me say this. I want to admonish you to watch my show that I did yesterday on Fly Nubian Queen TV. I gave all kinds of receipts and documentation that shows just recently New Jersey cops, as well as other Philadelphia cops. Do you know 328?
You didn't answer my
cops
question if that was
were
wrong
busted.
or not. Well, that's
Well,
wrong for Black Lives Matter to do that.
I'm not aware of that, but I was going
Why
to
are
tell
you so
that.
not aware of that? You aware of everything else? Why are you not aware of that?
Well, you do lie sometimes, unfortunately. So I can't
So you
say.
lying?
I said you do.
You do lie?
I said, yeah, you do lie sometimes, so I can't.
What have I
guarantee
lied
that's
about?
what
Oh,
they
you
said.
said that I lie sometimes?
Yes, sir.
What have I lied about?
For example, when I was listening to you earlier today, you were talking about Black people and how, unfortunately, Black people. You were talking about how so many of us are attacking police officers.
Yes.
Um,
How is
and-
that a
and-
lie?
Well, because that is a lie. There's not a lot of Black people that are attacking police officers. In fact, because police officers are being infiltrated, military is infiltrated with white racists, it's not enough Black people standing up to defend themselves.
That's amazing. I want you to hear this and watch this clip. Here we go.
Okay.
That was Black Lives Matter leading a chant. What do we want? Dead cops. What do we want it now? Is it wrong for them to do that? Was that wrong?
It's wrong if no one is aggressing you, but if someone is continuously an enemy to you, like the very names that I mentioned, Gregory Hill.
Was that
Ryan,
wrong for Black Lives
Michael,
Matter to do that?
It is not wrong to defend yourself when your life is in danger.
Oh, so it's not wrong when Black people do it to white people, but when they chant Louis Farrakhan, one of the most wicked men on this side of heaven, that's wrong, huh?
Of course
Amazing.
not.
I want to
First-
ask you about this woman.
First of all, there is no history. There is no history and there is no documentation that any Black NOI Muslim has ever laid a hand on white people unjustly or
You have been paying
firebombed
attention.
Or firebombed anything. You need to bring the receipts. There's absolutely no evidence. It's a difference between one that's protecting themselves, defending themselves, demanding that they be retributed. And it's a whole other thing when you have the most privileged people on the planet who pillage, who rape.
Why are
who
y'all
rob,
so
who
jealous of white
sodomize,
people? Why
and
are
then
you-
demand the death of innocent Black people?
Why are you people so jealous of white people?
Jealous of white people? What evidence do you have?
You're
of that,
always
sir?
talking about what they have. You're always saying that they're smarter than you. You're always complaining. You want affirmative action. You want reparations. You want to get into the white schools without earning your way. You want to be actors and entertainers without earning your way. What is wrong with Black people that they're not smart enough to earn their own way without complaining?
Black people are so smart that we are the ones that white people, ignorant white people, came over to the motherland to build this nation.
That's not true.
Black people are so.
That's not
Black
true.
People, Black
You're not an
people are so
honest
smart.
person. That's not true. Black
built
people
the-
were sold.
we built-
That's not
excuse
true.
me.
Hey, Black people were
Ex-
sold by other blacks to the Arabs, and the Arabs sold the blacks around the world. It wasn't white people.
Reverend Jesse. White people stole us.
That's
We
not
built the
true.
Capitol.
That's
we
not
built
true.
the Capitol. We built the White House.
Y'all
we built
didn't do
many of
nothing.
the edifices. We built many of the edifices that are in Washington, D.C. We did the layouts for the government. And
Why? So if you
a
people are
large-
so smart, why are you still begging? Why are you destructive? Why are you begging and whining? If you're so smart, why
don't
isn't that
believe-
happening now?
Begging who? I don't believe in begging white people for
You're
anything.
begging for reparation from whites. You're begging from affirmative action. You're begging to get into their schools without earning the way. You're begging to be air traffic controllers without having to pass the test. You're begging for everything, for food stamp, for free health care, free government cheese, and all kind of stuff. You're just begging. If you're so smart, act like it and stop begging. Why are you begging?
Well, first of all, reparations, and intelligent people know this. Reparations is about a debt owed.
No.
America built this country based on our free labor. Is it right for someone to use someone for hundreds of years for free and not pay them, Reverend?
But nobody
Reverend,
alive
please answer the
today,
question.
no one alive today
Reverend, please answer the question.
have built one thing for white people.
Reverend,
but
please answer the question.
The blacks who, I'm answering the question, hold on. The blacks who really suffered, the slaves who are dead, they have received reparation by affirmative action, Section 8 homes, free food stamp, free health care, free everything. You have your babies out of wedlock. But I want to go back to something because we run out of time.
At least 70% of
people,
food stamp recipients, at least 70% of food stamp recipients are white people, not to mention corporate welfare that the richest, whitest people take advantage of, and the average person does not. So let's get that straight. It's important that we tell truths now.
Blacks are 13% of the population. And so for that 13% of the population, they're receiving more free stuff than any other culture in the country. But I want to ask you this. If black people had fathers and mothers who got married, and they were good examples for them, the way they were prior to the Civil Rights Movement, and the parents were good examples, work hard, love their neighbor as themselves, would black people be in such bad condition as they are today? Not all, but most.
Well, for this White History Month, it's important for us to explain.
You didn't answer that. No. I asked if black people were married and setting a good example for their children, would the blacks be in this condition today?
I believe that black families, strong black families, definitely help to produce strong black families, and I think that is important. I do think that it's less likely that some of those things will happen in a strong black family.
So why are you people pushing family rather than whimpering and whining and begging and being so destructive?
I certainly push strong black families. And one of the ways I push that is telling white folks to keep their disgusting, filthy hands out of our neighborhoods, out of our businesses, and stop bringing drugs and crime and corruption into our community so that we can do for ourselves.
Well, what's wrong with you that you take the drugs and crime that the black people bring, the whites bring in, you claim? What's wrong with black people that they take the drugs?
Well, it's not claim. If you're familiar with Gary Webb.
No. I asked you, what's wrong with the blacks that they're taking the drugs?
Well, I think the question should be what's wrong with white people in terms of
No. I asked a question that I wanted to know. What's wrong with the black people that they are taking the drugs?
Well, first of all, again, I think the question today
That's not the question, though. What's wrong with black people that they're taking? Why can't you answer that question?
What's wrong with the most privileged people on the planet who are doing all of these drug overdoses with the opioids?
So you won't answer that. Let me ask this. At one time, black men and women were moral, decent men and women prior to the Civil Rights Movement. They owned land, they owned homes, they owned businesses, they went to schools, they built their own schools. They didn't cry like about someone hurting them, right, or holding them back. They did for themselves, and they weren't weakling as they are today. And then the blacks decided to follow the so-called Civil Rights Movement people, which was a big mistake for the Civil Rights Movement to happen. Blacks have not recovered since then. But in the household, the boys and girls are being destroyed by the mothers who are turning the boys and girls away from their fathers toward the mothers. And now the boys and girls are growing up with the mindset of a woman rather than the mindset of a man. Why do you think that happened?
Well, what we know, and I would suggest you get this so that you can learn from this book here, Understanding the Assault on the Black Man.
No, we talk about the assault in the home where the mothers are turning the children away from the fathers because black women hate black men and they hate children. How did the black woman come to hate the black man so much?
Well, first of all, the black woman does not hate the black man
she does.
so much.
Yes, she does.
Oh, no, I don't.
She hates him so much. She hates him so much. She's killing his children in the womb. She's turning them away from the father, causing them to become angry and violent like she is. and the boys have the same. The black men, boys and men, have the same angry mentality that the black woman has. Why did she do that to them? Why are the black women doing that to the children?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with that. I'm
Why
a black
not?
woman, and I don't hate black men. I love black men.
Why do you
And,
love them?
And I love them because
Why?
why? Because they're our natural ally. That's who God made to be our natural companion.
Well, why
So I
can't
think
they
it's-
control the black woman?
Why can black men control the
Why
black woman?
can't they control them? Why won't they control the black woman? If you love black men, why is it that the black men are letting women like you be out of control?
Okay. Well, of course, you know that your question is absolutely nonsensical.
How
And,
how's it nonsensical?
well, it's nonsensical because it's absolutely untrue. And in
No,
fact,
it's totally true.
but I want to say to you, I think it's so important.
Do you
for
love
this.
white people?
You know, I think I want to say this to you, Reverend Jesse. I think that because you serve as such a powerful, powerful tool to our 464-year-old open enemy, I want to congratulate you on being nominated for what we call the Coon Award.
I got that. I have
The
one
Coon
right
Award.
here. Look.
Everybody that's watching us, please put your digital hands together.
you see
and
it?
Congratulate our Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson for working on behalf of white supremacy and against his own people.
What's a coon?
By hustling, by being a race hustler.
What's
Put
a
your hands
coon?
together. This is for you, sir.
What is a
This is for
coon?
you.
So
A coon.
what is a coon?
Yes, a coon. Exhibit A would be, of course, you. A coon being one that spouts white supremacist ideology mindsets on behalf of white people and that work against their own people, that are willfully
Who are
being
my
a
people?
blackface, that are willfully being a blackface for white supremacy. That would be you, sir.
Who are
Congratulations.
my people?
Well, your people ought to be, and you know what? That's a good question because we really can't say that you belong to us. In fact, I don't think most of us want to.
Who is
claim
us? Who is us?
Us meaning black people.
You represent
Those-
all black people?
those that suffer at the hands.
Do you represent
of
all
racist
black
whites.
people?
Excuse me?
Do you represent all black people?
You know, I do represent black people in different
How about
ways.
all black people?
In some ways.
So let me ask, do you love white people?
I don't think that the question is, do I love white people? Why are you asking me that? What
Do
difference
you-
does that make?
Do you love white people?
I love black people.
How about white people?
I don't hate them. I love my people.
Do you love white people?
I do love my people.
One last time, do you love white people?
And one last time, I love black people.
Do you love Jews?
And I want to say this too.
Do you love
Let me
the
make
Jewish
this-
people?
Let me be clear. Let me be clear. Black folks are Jews. You know that, right?
Do you love the Jewish people?
I don't dislike any people group because of their religion.
Do you
So
love the
absolutely-
Jewish people?
Did you hear what I said? I'm answering your question. I said I don't dislike.
I didn't
any-
ask if you dislike.
I don't dislike, or
What's
I
wrong
don't
with this woman?
dislike any people because of their religion.
Why
or even,
can't
to
you
be
people
honest,
answer questions?
for the color of their skin? Do you know they're black Jews, sir?
Do you
So,
love-
Of course,
Do you love the
course.
Jewish people?
of course, I don't. Of course, I love plenty of Jewish people. I love plenty of Jewish people.
Do you love?
It's wicked white people that I have a problem with, sir. Wicked
So
white
do you
people.
love
should
white
too.
people?
Wicked white people, I don't have a love for.
This woman by the name of Erica Thomas, she is a some type of representative down in Georgia.
Congresswoman. Yes.
Whatever. She showed her in the supermarket. A white man asked her, according to the story, "We can't see your face."
Yes. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I was just making sure we're respecting you by acknowledging you receiving support.
She got in the line in the grocery stores. You're only allowed to, in the fast lane, you're only allowed to have 10 items or less. In some lines, 6 items or less. This black nutcase woman by the name of Erica Thomas apparently had more than whatever required to be in that line. A white
pressing
man,
pressing issues.
a white man asked her, "Hey, you're in the wrong line." She went off just like a black woman, and she called herself a representative, some type of state representative or something. Were you embarrassed by the way that black woman acted?
Oh my gosh, no. I was embarrassed by the white man who said he left the store. He had already paid for his stuff. He left the store and thought about it and came back in the store to tell her to talk to her about getting in another line because she had 5 extra items while she's 9 months pregnant and cussed her
That
out
doesn't
and
mean that
disrespected
she
her.
can get in a short
Shame
line.
on white people.
That doesn't mean
Shame
she
on
can
them.
get in a short line and break the law because she is pregnant. That's not an excuse.
Listen to this. Breaking the law for a line in the grocery store, fast lane.
Whatever she did, she broke
ridiculous?
she broke the rules of the market. And
Do you realize how
being
ridiculous?
pregnant is not an excuse for it.
Do you realize how ridiculous you sound talking about all the stuff that's going on with Iran, a war with Iran, a possibility of war with Iran, and dealing with North Korea, and all of the stuff that is happening in Israel and Palestine, and most importantly, things that are happening here in America, where Black folks are dealing with domestic white terrorists, pedophiles. In the Catholic Church, pedophiles and the Boy Scouts, white folks trying to get laws passed so they can sleep with dogs and goats and animals and stuff. And you're going to talk to me about a Black woman in the fast line? Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, Reverend Jesse.
Do you support Antifa?
Antifa is not about supporting them. Antifa is a non sequitur. What I am against is white terrorism here in America and around the world.
You
How
have
about you?
openly defended Antifa. And now the House is
I have not.
now the House is considering labeling Antifa a terrorist group. Are you happy about that?
What I would be happy about.
I'm
is
happy
when-
about it. Are you happy about it?
No, I think it should be important that Christopher Wray, who is the current
I'm asking
FBI
you about how come when you ask Black people where you've been, you tell us where you're going. I'm asking you specific questions, and so far, you have been incapable of answering any specific question right up front. Why is that?
Well, number one,
And I noticed that a lot of Black
Number-
people
number
have
one-
a problem with answering honestly.
Number one, when your questions are nonsensical, when they don't match, like when they don't go with the subject, then I can't answer stupid questions. And more importantly, I don't know what Pacific means. Now, if you want me to ask a specific question, you can do that, but it needs to be germane to the subject and to Black people. You understand what I'm saying, Reverend?
That was last night, Monday night. There was in New York, there were attacks on cops in 2 separate incidents. And in one incident, the cops were trying to make an arrest. Some Black people threw water on the cops. They threw an item and hit the cops in the back of the head. Another incident, they attacked the cops as well. Is that Black brutality on cops?
Oh, God, no. When you're defending yourself,
Can you
that's
play
just
those
common
soundbites?
sense.
Pull up those soundbites. Maybe she didn't. Did you see that yet?
I did see that. And what we do know
I
is
want the
I
people
saw
to
the-
see it. I want the people to see it.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Hit it, Joel.
Outrage this morning
Hit it.
over the complete disrespect towards New York City Police Department officers being drenched with water, all caught on cell phone video.
Oh my God, they came over here to talk to them that they violated. Yo, they violated them. They violated them. No, they violated them. Oh, they not stopped.
Oh, man, and that's not the only one. A separate incident on the other side of town. This video showing a bucket being hurled at a cop. Hit him right in the...
Are you proud of your people for acting that way?
I'm proud of people defending themselves and police officers that act like they are actually serving people when in fact they are using the badge under color of law to murder Black people. That should be the issue. Not
And
being
sure.
drenched. Listen, not being drenched in water, but being drenched in blood. I'm more concerned about being drenched in blood, Black blood.
So you think what those people you just saw there, that
Actually,
just
I didn't see anything because the screen doesn't show me that. But
Oh, okay.
I saw a clip earlier.
and so you what those Black people did to those cops, was that wrong?
No, not when you're defending yourself.
Wow.
I don't think enough of our people are
That's
standing
amazing.
up. There are too many race soldiers that have infiltrated the police force and the army and the military. I talked about that on my show yesterday, and I would like for your people to check out my podcast at flynubianqueen.com to watch my show yesterday, where I bring nothing but receipts and talk about the fact that law enforcement have been infiltrated with folks that pretend to be police officers, pretend to be soldiers, and in fact, they're pretending to serve us when they're there actually to kill us. I'm talking about the pretenders. Okay.
Do you want cops to leave the black community?
Oh my
Communities?
gosh. Yes.
You
Black
want them
folks
to
need
leave?
Yes, black people need to police their own communities like the Nation of Islam did when they were the dope busters. And before Congress intervened to try to stop resources, Representative King was meddling in black business. You got other black organizations that are standing up that's saying, hey, we can resolve our own issues.
Well, why don't y'all?
We don't need our 464-year-old open enemy coming in, murdering and killing us. We can do that we can resolve our own issues.
Why don't you, if you people are so unhappy with America and you call yourselves African American, mommy Africa, right? Why don't you go back to your country?
Well, first of all, because black folk are the owners of the whole planet, everywhere belongs to us. And you can't say because you criticize, that makes you the most patriotic because you criticize so that America correct itself. I'm the most patriotic person you'll ever find because I want America to correct herself.
That's amazing. And correcting herself mean to do what?
Correct herself meaning to stop murdering us, to cease and desist killing us, cease and desist raping and robbing, cease and desist the unjust incarcerating of our people, cease and desist flooding our communities with drugs and alcohol, cease and desist poisoning our waters, cease and desist holding on to resources that never belonged to them in the first place and for benefiting from those things. Those are the things that I want them to do. And to, you know what? Show us the money. Show me the money.
See, I told you want money.
Yes,
begging
because
for
it
money.
belongs to us.
There you go,
It belongs
begging
to
for
us.
money. Y'all want
begging.
free stuff, and I know why y'all want free stuff.
It's a bill.
For the
It's a
last
bill.
70 years,
It's a
America
bill.
have been giving black
Reparations is a bill.
For the
Reparations is a bill.
last 70
Reparations is a
years.
bill.
Last 70. Hold on a
Reparations
minute.
is a bill.
Hold on. Last 70 years, black people have been begging, so America has been giving them free stuff rather than correcting them. Have been giving them free stuff, and so now they are spoiled. And they are incapable of earning their way. They want free stuff. So if white people ever consider making you work, there going to be riots in the streets. So that's why you still begging for all this stuff.
Reparations is a debt owed. Those are services that were rendered for hundreds of years that America owes us. That's not begging for stuff. That's demanding to be paid. That's number one. Number two, white folks are the only ones that are receiving free stuff. It's Europeans that got free land under the Homestead Act. It's Europeans that are getting... It's Europeans that are benefiting from corporate welfare. They're the ones who ended up getting the bailout to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, not black people. Remember, black folk lost more wealth with their properties during the Great Recession.
You said that you want the cops to leave the black community.
Yes.
What do you say to those black mothers who? What do you say to those black mothers who are begging the cops to come back, not to leave?
I don't know any that are doing that.
They are doing it. There are some who are doing it. Why you don't know the right stuff? You seem to know all the wrong stuff.
Well, again, because, Brother Jesse, because when you are recipients of these kinds of awards, folk that are coons and meritorious manumission and butter biscuits, they tend to lie and they spout racist, inaccurate.
Butter biscuit with honey.
So you're not giving us 100% of the truth.
We run out of time. We run out of time. I want to ask, do you believe in the spiritual order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, woman over children? Do you believe in it? Do you believe in that spiritual order?
In the proper context with the true Christ, not the white Jesus. Do you believe in?
No, you're not asking my question. Do you believe in that order?
I do believe in spiritual order.
So my question then, if black men were to overcome their mothers and return to their earthly fathers, love God, love their earthly fathers, which would cause them to love God, and the black men would come back to their proper state of being, would women like you follow them then?
Once you stop following the white Jesus.
No. You didn't answer the question. I asked, would women like you follow? Would women like you follow the man if he was in his natural state of being?
Yeah, I would. No woman in her right mind would not submit to a man that knows the real God and that loves and respects.
The black men and all men need to overcome their mothers, return to their fathers, and love their earthly fathers so they can love God, and then the black women would come to order, right? The women and children would come to order then, right?
Overcome their fathers. What if those fathers are dead?
No, I said overcome the mother. They need
You
to
said
overcome their mothers
and return. Oh,
and
okay.
be,
And
return to their earthly
to their
fathers.
fathers. Now, what if their earthly fathers
And-
abandon the family?
No earthly father abandoned the family. They abandoned the mother because most black men can't handle the girlfriends or live-ins or whatever because the black women, you become like what you hate. And most black men hate their mothers. And they end up with black women who are just like their mothers. And so they can't handle the black woman. So because they become the boy and she become the mama. And so they bail out on the woman, not their children. Black men, all men love their children, but the mother would lie to the children and tell them, your father abandoned you. She won't tell the children, I ran your father off. He couldn't handle me. I was held to pay. And so that's why the kids think the father don't love them. They love their children. It's just that they couldn't handle the angry, out-of-control mother.
Okay. Well, first of all, what we need to first get rid of is the white Jesus.
Oh, my God. So what's your website? I mean, how can people listen to your show?
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. The way they can listen to the show Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time at flynubianqueentv.com. And soon I'll also be on cable at jamnetworktv.com. Jam Network TV. It's going to be one of the fastest growing, one of the newest Black-owned cable networks coming. Jam Network. I'll be on there at the end of this summer. But again, they can watch me daily on flynubianqueentv.com, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson during this month of White History Month. Make sure you all get the book, White Rage, that talks about what's
Someone
wrong
want to know, I got somebody to text me. Someone want to know, are you married?
I don't talk about, look, I'm going to say this much. I'm not presently married, but I'm not going to talk about my current relational status beyond that, but I'm not currently married.
Thank you for coming on. That was fun.
Thank you.
We'll have you back.
All right. Thank you so much.
Will you have me on? Will you have me on your? Will you have me on your show?
You know what, Reverend Jesse? I would love to have you on the show.
All right, we have to get it done. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Happy White History Month.
Same to you, sir.
All right, take care.